Hello friends, Heidi here from Rain Country. God is good all the time, and I'm here for another this and that. So let's get started on this semi-weekly vlog that I like to do to bring you back to some old videos I've done, show you some experiments I've got going on, and so on and so forth. So the first thing I'm going to talk about is my my tea blend, my regular tea blend that I like to use almost every night. Is this particular one is actually from 2017, and I think I might have a video on this blend. And I don't remember what all's in it, but I do know it's my various mints that I grow, plus the lemon balm, which is also a mint, but it's not a minty tasting mint. I think I have one more from 2017, and then I still have 2018 and 2019 tea blends to work through. So what I do is I keep it in this jar out here on my little tea shelf that Patrick built me a couple years ago. And then, so this is what I use. I put a bunch of this in my silver teapot, and I brew it usually every night. My favorite blend lately has been, as I spoke about in another video, has been the mint blend along with some of my marshmallow root. And every night, I'll drink several cups of it, and then whatever's left over I'll drink in the morning. What I did in 2019 is I didn't actually make a blend. I just dehydrated up my mints alone because I love such a strong minty flavor that I decided I wasn't going to blend the lemon balm in there and just have that be something that I'll add in when I'm in the mood, or even have it separate, because I do like the taste of lemon balm as a tea by itself. And then another thing is that I've been stocking up on some of the sliced almonds. Sadly, these aren't organic. I wish they were. However, Costco has such a good deal on the sliced almonds, and I love using these like when I do my almond chicken or orange almond cinnamon rolls, or orange almond pumpkin bread, or whatever it is that I'm making. And it's nice because they're pre-sliced, and so the price on these is so good at Costco that every time I make another order from them online, I just order another bag, and then I put them in my jars and vacuum seal in it. And one of the reasons I wanted to talk about this is I finally am getting through the last of the almonds, sliced almonds, that I bought from Glory Bee years ago when I used to be able to do a co-op purchase and buy big batches, and I bought a lot, and they were years old, and I opened up that sealed, vacuum sealed jar, and they were still just as good as they were the day that I put them in there, even years later. So I don't remember what the year was on it, but anyway, just highly recommend for this. I haven't had any of these go bad. The only nuts I found tend to get a little rancid if you wait too long are the Brazil nuts. Now the next thing I wanted to talk about was this Perpetual vanilla extract I have going on. I got this idea from Mary over at Mary's Nest. I had thought about doing something similar years ago, but not quite like how she demonstrated it, making such a large batch like this. And so I'm thinking, what a great idea. Now the difference between mine and hers is she uses straight vodka, where in this one I decided to try a blend of my homemade wine, the spiced rum, and the glycerin. The glycerin helps cut down on the overall alcohol content of it, and the homemade wine still gives it some of that alcohol content but makes it a little less expensive than using straight rum. I prefer spiced rum for most of my extracts, especially when I'm making the vanilla extract. It adds just this wonderful flavor. But I have been getting into, with all my other flavored extracts, using a combination of the glycerin and the homemade wine, and they've been turning out really good, a lot stronger than I thought they would. So very pleased with that. And so I started this in August, at the beginning of August, and just tasted it, and it is really good. And so if you're interested in learning how to make the Perpetual vanilla extract, I'll go ahead and link to Mary's video down below. I can't remember if I did a video on how I did this particular one, but I do have videos showing how I use the glycerin and the wine and or the spiced rum to make various types of extracts. And it's kind of old. In this particular one, I'm not showing how to do it with the wine, but the method would still be the same, using the glycerin and the rum. And I'll go ahead and link to my extract video down below as well, so you can compare both of ours. It's just all a matter of choice, what works best for you, what's most available to you as far as your alcohol, glycerin, and all that. So anyway, very happy with this, and I still need it's still going to sit for quite a while longer because I still have a couple more small bottles of vanilla extract I started years ago. And that was using the spiced rum and glycerin, and I just love it. Now, moving on, I want to talk a little bit about nut milk again today. Now, the last nut milk I made, not counting this one, the one I made before this, I made a couple batches of them, and I think I spoke about it in another This and That video and said I was going to get back to you on what I thought about it. I think in that video I was making the hazelnut and Brazil nut blend, and to see how I liked it, and I have to tell you, I was surprised. I didn't care a whole lot for the hazelnut milk by itself, but the hazelnut Brazil nut, a 1-to-1 ratio on those nuts, turned out excellent. I liked it so much I made another batch immediately, and I find myself just wanting to drink that. So good. And so I decided to try another experiment, and this particular one is a blend of all of the nuts I have. So it's got almonds, it's got hazelnuts, it's got Brazil nuts, pecans, and cashew. So I have 5 different nuts in this, and I thought, well, let me just try them all, you know, pretty much equal amounts of each. And while it's good, I don't like it near as much. So here are my top 3 favorite nut milks. I like the pecan cashew a lot, and I have videos on these, by the way, if you want to check them out. I'll link to 2 of them down below. The pecan cashew milk, excellent flavor, and then what I do with the pulp from that is then I don't dry it out, I make a vegan cheese. And then the Brazil nut by itself, just really good as is. And then also the Brazil nut and hazelnut. Those are my top 3. And then almond milk by itself, just plain almond, is also quite good. I'll link to the Brazil nut milk and to the pecan cashew milk videos that I have down below. And I am using a couple of dates when I'm making these to add just a little bit of sweetness, but I haven't been adding any extract to it. It's just the Brazil and hazelnut milk and the other milks without even adding any flavoring to them, other than a date or 2, has been just so good. It's really great for making, you know, for putting on your cereals, for just drinking straight. And I'm not a big milk drinker, but when it's coming to these nut milks, I'm loving these things. So anyway, the 5 nut milk, nah, it's okay. I'm still drinking it. I'm still enjoying it, just not as much. But anyway, back to the other milks. I was going to say is what I do with the pulp from the other milks, not the pecan cashew. That has its own unique texture to it that makes it great for using to make a vegan cheese, which I also have a video recipe on that I will link to down below. It's more of a cream cheese kind of recipe, but I'm sure you could really press it out and make a harder cheese if you want to. You may need to add, if you're wanting to keep it vegan, some sort of gelling agent to make it set up a little bit firmer. Agar is an option. It can have a little bit of that seaweed flavor to it, so you got to be careful with it and how much you use. But it is a good option. It's a vegan option. There's also chia seeds. You could probably powder them up and use them as a gelling agent in there too. So just some things to consider. I used to make a vegan cheese years ago using different, back when I was strictly vegan, and using different gelling agents, and it, you know, where I could have it where it was sliceable, and it was pretty good. But anyway, so I still haven't finished saying, the pulp from the other nuts I like to use to make a flour. And right here I have a blend, and it's a little dark in color because the stove got a little bit too hot. I like to dry my flour, the pulp, on the wood stove, but I set it up really high. But one particular day there, the fire was so hot, it still ended up kind of toasting the flour. So it's no longer raw, but it does still have an excellent flavor for using in various things. I've tried making biscuits with it, and just putting a little bit in, not fully this, or it would have been too grainy and heavy. But just putting a little bit, like maybe a 1-to-3 ratio. So 3 parts of like a regular all-purpose or whole wheat flour, you know, fresh ground, to 1 part of the nut flour. And anyway, I added a nice flavor to the biscuits, but using them in pancakes, muffins, and sweetbreads is excellent. In fact, I have a video out there where I made a Brazil nut bread using the Brazil nut flour I had made. Actually, I hadn't actually turned it into flour. I was just using the pulp as was, like the very next day. But if you don't think you're going to use the pulp right away, drying it up and then turning it into a flour is an excellent choice. Now this isn't fully dry. This was from my mixed nut blend, so it has that cashew in it, and you'll find that cashew, it just makes a different texture that is great for using in a vegan cheese, but not so great for using in a flour. And so I have to keep breaking this up, and then I'm going to have to go set it back in there and let it dry. So what I've actually been doing is setting it next to the wood stove on my drying rack instead of on top of the wood stove, so it's drying at a slower pace and not getting toasted. And then I keep one of these clean cotton cloths over the top to keep dust and stuff from building up on it. But what I've been doing right here is to break some of these bigger chunks up, is taking this little stubby rolling pin, if you want to call it that I had Patrick make for me so I can use it directly in the pan, which makes it really great for when you're making crackers. Your nut flours make really great gluten-free crackers, by the way. But anyway, and then you can just use one of these short ones and roll it directly into the pan to make it easier instead of rolling it and then putting it in the pan. And that way you can get them thin and not have to worry about moving them. But anyway, I've been doing this to break these up. And then I'm going to go set that back next to the wood stove to finish drying out. And then when it's done, I'll powder it up, and then I'll add it to my nut flour. Now, if you're interested in more information on making your own almond flour or any kind of nut flour, I'll go ahead and link down below to the video I did on the nut flour, and I also have a video of making crackers using that. I think I used that same almond flour in that one. I don't think it was the one I had bought. And then right here is one of my most recent Mother Earth Products purchases. I love their organic, non-GMO sweet corn. I can eat this right out of the bag, but this is something I like to add quite a bit when I'm to my soups and stuff like that. And the fact that it's organic and non-GMO is just wonderful. And I'm really happy that Mother Earth has been getting more organic products. They've had the strawberries for a while. You just have to look for it. Make sure you look under the organic options there. And then they have the organic broccoli, and I'm pretty sure they had the organic peas as well. And you can just put in some requests. If you see anything you want, maybe you want more organic stuff or anything specific, then they will consider carrying that stuff. They started carrying the shoestring carrots because somebody asked for those in particular. And I've made the recommendation that they start to see if they can start carrying more organic products, even though all their products are non-GMO, which is very important to me. But like strawberries, for instance, I won't buy strawberries unless I can find them organic. And same thing with peppers. I won't bell peppers. I won't buy bell peppers unless I can find those organic. Grapes and certain other things like that. So I thought I would give the broccoli a try, and it's pretty good. It tastes like fresh broccoli, just like anything freeze-dried. It seems like it tastes not like your regular dehydrated things. Freeze-dried always has the same flavor as the fresh product. It's just crunchy. So that's why I like the corn. It's great. It's just a wonderful snack because it's got that sweet, crunchy, wonderful flavor. But anyway, so I'll be bagging this up today. In fact, I'll go ahead and do a jar now if you're new and you like to see how I do things. These, when they're in the foil pouches like this, I just leave them. Especially if they're unopened, but even once I've opened them, as long as like this one I opened so I could try it, it's a good idea to try to make sure you get all the oxygen, squeeze more of that air out, fold it down, and then seal it back up again. But they do stay pretty good in that. However, you can still use this method even on your smaller bags like that. But anyway, when it's in the bigger plastic bags such as this, then I just like to repackage them up by adding them to some glass jars. You can use bigger jars if you want. You can use smaller. I like the quart size jars. They're perfect because then as I'm working through the jars, I just work on one jar at a time, and then the others stay sealed up until I'm ready for them. And usually by the time I get to the bottom of the jar, I work through it just in the right amount of time that it doesn't go stale. However, even if you're concerned about that, you can always reseal the jar. It doesn't cost you anything but a little bit of time. Now you want to be careful that you don't get your jar too full or it's not going to seal very good. But anyway, just take a metal lid. This will work also with your Tatler lids, but I do find, and I've had some hold their seal for a long time, I do find when it comes to this method, the metal lids work better they seem to hold their seal for a lot longer time for the vacuum seal method. And using a used one is good too, but you want to make sure there's no dents or any junk stuck in there or on the rim of your jar. Just set your lid on there. Put your food saver top on there. And then you can either use if you have a good food saver that doesn't break down every 2 years, then you can use that, or you can get a brake bleeder like I've got here. And I have links to this as well as the food saver tops in the description box down below. If you're interested in purchasing those, go ahead and click on show more in order to see all the links, including any video links I'm putting down there. So I just put the tip and hold it in there, and then I pump the brake bleeder. I just rest it against the counter and pump it up to past 15. You can go up to 15, but I always like going just that little bit, a few extra points above that. So usually 17 or 18 is about where I pump it up to. Okay, and you just pull this off. And then you have a nice seal. Then I take just a little bit of isopropyl alcohol that I keep in a spray bottle to keep it easy. I'm going to wipe it off with my shirt. Make sure you use a dry cloth. Then it's ready for me to label it so I know how old it is. And it will be put away in my food storage with the rest of my freeze-dried and home canned and home dried goods. Okay, I'm going to finish jarring that up later. Let's finish this video out. So back here, a couple of jars of my citrus vinegar. This is the one I'm currently adding to as we go, so it's not full all the way with water, because I plan on putting a few more citrus peels in there as we eat those oranges up, and then I'm going to top it off with water the rest of the way. But it's already in the process of brewing, as you can tell by the color. So it's already been sitting for a few days. That one is full. It's bubbly. I actually need to get it stirred here soon. But anyway, that's what's going on there. So when you're working through your citrus, that's one way to do it, is just keep adding it to your jar and adding the liquid in. If you're making a citrus peel vinegar. And if you're interested in my citrus peel vinegar, this is how I make it from scratch. I'm not using white vinegar and adding orange peels to it. I'm actually making the vinegar from the orange peels, water, and some sugar. So I'll link to that video, my citrus vinegar for cleaning, down below. And then I have my last jar of 2015 plums sitting out here because I'm going to make another batch of plum creamsicles for Mr. Rain. Using the home canned fruits like the plums and the peaches make an excellent and super easy creamsicle. You just got to add, especially if you already have some sugar in there, just add your whipping cream to it and blend it up and put it in your popsicle molds. It's really good. So I'll be doing that today. And then the last thing I wanted to talk about was I got these. I got to finish cleaning them up because they were in storage. But Kayla, my daughter-in-law, was cleaning stuff out and realized she wasn't going to use these. And these are some spice shelves, and I don't know if you can tell in the image, but these are actually a dark brown. They're not black. They look black when you first see them. But she brought them over and said, "Hey, do you think you can use these?" I'm like, "I might." And so I went ahead and took them. I'm still not sure what I'm going to do with them. One of the ideas I had is I can put at least one of these over by my sewing machine and put all my threads in there, my spools of thread, because I get the taller, bigger spools of thread. And then I can have, instead of having them tossed in a drawer, I can have them out where I can see them better and just grab them as needed. I was considering using this as a spice shelf, but I keep all of my spices and herbs in anything no smaller than this. Now, while these fit perfectly on the top shelf, they don't quite fit right in the bottom shelf. So that's going to be a no-go. I don't have anything smaller than that. And I have a lot of these little jars. Now, it would be nice if I could free up more space in that cabinet that I keep all my herbs and spices in, and then be able to hang this up here. But again, it looks like I'd only be able to put 4 of those jars. So the reason I'm bringing this up is that I'm hoping that some of you can help give me some ideas. I have to decide whether or not I'm going to keep these things or just toss them. Or give them away to somebody who might be able to use them. What are some other ideas besides the thread idea that you might think of that these might be handy for, because right now I'm just kind of drawing a blank, and who knows, I might come up with an idea before this video even comes out and you give me some answers, but I'm going to try not to think about it because I want to hear your suggestions of what you think I should do with these shelves. And it can be, since I have two of them, it could be two different ideas, you know, one place and one in another place. And just let me know what you think, and I'll kind of weigh out your ideas and see if that's something that's going to work for me. You know, Mr. Rain makes a lot of great shelves, and so it's not like I really needed these. Usually if I need a shelf or anything like that, he just makes it for me. Sometimes when I can find stuff secondhand and it saves him some work and I can have use for it, I'll use that instead. Okay, well, that's my this and that for this week. Hope you enjoyed this video, and don't forget to check out or add your comments down below. Thanks for watching. Take care, and God bless.